As a top tier man, would you like to be in a lineup with Andrew Tate? Hmm. And if you were, what would that say about you? I'm Carrie Blazer, the Divine Feminine, Reincarnation of Mary Magdalene. And today I'm going to do a deeper dive into who I think is the reincarnation of Jesus Christ. Jason Colvin, head of global security at GoDaddy, former FBI. He is Jared in my book, man number 6, hero number 6 in my book. Hero number 3 is Andrew Tate, because I had a personal relationship with his best friend, Justin Waller. But we're going to get into all of that. I got pictures from high school. I got stories from elementary school. And we're going to go into it. Like, why hasn't Jason called me yet? I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just exploring why hasn't he called me yet? I'm about to sell my condo. I've been healing him for the past year and a half. Let's talk about what happened. But let me start by bringing up my website, carrieblazer.com, and let me share my screen. And we're going to talk about this website first. We're going to go into origin story, where I go over all the signs and synchronicities that I had at the time, about 6 months ago in September of 2025. That I am the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene, the Divine Feminine. And part of how I knew that is, let's start. I'll go over the signs and synchronicities. Okay, he and I were born and named this way. So my birthday is June 25th, direct opposite of December 25th. And Cancer, the astrological sign, that's the cardinal water sign, that's Divine Feminine. My astrological chart that I had done by a Jungian psychologist who does evolutionary astrology told me, and then you can read it on this page as well, but that my North Node is Pisces and I'm a Cancer. Like, I couldn't be more sensitive intuitively. I couldn't pick up on more information intuitively if I wanted to. I was born for it. My middle name is May, and May is the month in Catholicism where Mary, the mother of Jesus, is celebrated, and middle names are often honorific of a family member. And, his name, Jason Cornell Colvin, JCC. So he's JC, whether it's first name, middle name, or first name, last name, he's JC. And I only put all these pieces together starting in the summer of 2025, around my birthday. So, together in childhood, that was me at 5 years old when I moved to Westlake Village, California. And the only memory I had of my childhood before I reached out to Jason for the first time in 40 years in November of 2024 was playing alone in the kindergarten classroom with some blocks. That's all I remember from kindergarten. I don't have any other, before. Now visions have come back to me, but I still would like confirmation by someone else meeting Jason, but I haven't talked to him yet. Okay. And I'm not saying he's wrong, but I haven't talked to him yet. And this is how I felt my whole life. That picture right there, that statue right there. That's how I felt my whole life. I found that 2 years ago. And it's of a grieving parent. The universe is a mirror showing me myself in every moment as a constant feedback loop for self-improvement. We live in a holographic universe. Knowledge says we attract what we are through energetic resonance, meaning a vibrational match. Why was I a vibrational match with a statue about a grieving parent when I didn't remember being a grieving parent? I have 3 grown kids. I didn't remember most of my childhood. But I remember that my lower back pain started screaming at me at 15 and a half. Jason's 2 years older than me. He was ASB president of senior class. I was a sophomore at Westlake High School. I don't remember. I have visions. But when I accepted the visions, the pain process, then I was able to let it go and move on. But I'll get into that in a minute. But anyway, yeah, when I found that statue, that's what I felt like my whole life. I'm just a hole. Just a hole. Even after kindergarten, like I always had a hard time making friends. Now, what my visions have come back is that Jason and I, well, yes, we completely got along, but I'm quite vocal. And his parents were around. I might have said something about how he was treated at home to his parents. That might have happened. He might have hit me really hard and broken my cheek right here when he was 7 and I was 5. He's a big guy. I'll show you in a second. He's over 6 feet tall. But yeah, I don't remember a lot, and I have visions, so I'm sharing cautiously. But let me get out of this screen, and let's get into the picture time. Picture time. Yeah, let me go back here, and let me share my screen. That was me in September of 1984. I was 14 years old. My parents have been divorced since I was 6. I went to 4 different elementary schools in 7 years, all in the Westlake area. I never went back to Westlake Elementary, where I believe he went based on his dad's home. But, I don't remember. And I haven't talked to him. So I lived in an apartment, and by 14, I already had a job. Westlake Village is very affluent, and my dad had a lot of money, but my parents fought a lot. And shortly after this picture was taken, that was, I think, my first day of school in freshman year, I got a job at Hot Dog on a Stick. But let me tell you that story in a minute. That's what he looked like. Adonis, over 6 feet tall, like sandy blonde hair, blue eyes. He was ASB president of junior class, multiple sport, varsity letterman, extremely intelligent. Yeah, he went to Air Force Academy, has an MBA, really smart, big forehead, just like me. And I don't remember like when I noticed he was staring at me and, and stuff, but I wouldn't let him near me. And it must have been September. Oh, yeah, it must have been like September, October. It wasn't that far into when school started. And we were at the front of the school, and I believe it was the most popular senior. This is his water polo picture. They were in water polo together. And so there I am, 14 years old, hadn't even started my period yet. And the most popular senior says, "I want to introduce you to Jason Colvin. He's really nice." And I looked up at him, and they're, both over 6 feet tall, and I'm like 5'2", 5'3". I'm 5'5" now. I'm like, "Are you punking me? Where's the camera?" And I ran away. Very intuitive, so I just threw up this whole fear thing. Now, I don't remember what happened in kindergarten, but the visions show me that I was hit quite strongly. And I did have a break in my cheekbone when I got reconstructive jaw surgery when I was 36. And I had a congenital defect in my jaw. So like my lower jaw was a little bit back. So I don't think anyone could hit me and necessitate jaw surgery, but they definitely told me I had an unknown break in fracture that they could see in my cheekbone. Which makes sense. It was my left and right hook, makes sense. So I shut that down because I was just terrified. Within about a week, he had a picnic lunch. He was Mormon, and I was baptized Mormon, but I wasn't practicing. Within a week, a Mormon girl, super conservative, I had a picnic lunch right there in front of me. Like, and at first I was glad, okay, if someone take care of you, great. I'm sure I went home and cried. But then I'm thinking about it. You're so into me that you're already having when a woman brings a picnic, that's claiming a man. He's junior year president. I barely have any friends. And the most popular senior and him want to talk to me, and I'm so unimportant that he had a picnic with another girl. Well, I got a job right after that at Hot Dog on a Stick. I started a 6-year career. Like, I'm getting a job. I'm out. I'm done. I'm out. And I didn't confront him, and I'm glad I didn't confront him. He's much bigger than me. And I don't think that it would have been safe for me to confront him, or you know, it would have helped things for me to have done anything really. Um, so that's how it started junior year. Let me see. Then the next picture we have here, this is us on the same day. Like, and I said Adonis, that's what I'm talking about. Like Adonis. Gorgeous, perfect. Dad was a surgeon, lots of money. On the outside, perfect. And look at me, that was me. They had a toga party. One of the uh signs and synchronicities I use that I am the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene is in 2021 I started hearing, I'm on a mission from God like the Blues Brothers. And Toga was huge, from like the Animal House. Jim Belushi, of course, was also in Blues Brothers. You see in this last thing, Ray-Bans were huge. That's Blues Brothers. He graduated in 86. I think Blues Brothers was 83 or 82. I can't remember. But that was exactly that time. Okay. And there was a toga party. So I went. And that's what I wore. And my bathing suit underneath. And, that was me. Okay. Here we are a year later. Yep, I'm stoned. I started getting stoned when I was 15. I had a hard home life. My mom was an alcoholic. My dad was a workaholic. It was very difficult. And there he is in his Letterman jacket, gorgeous as can be. And he stared at me all throughout junior year. Just stared at me. And I wouldn't let him near me. So here we are, homecoming, and he was nominated for Homecoming King. He didn't get it. But what I remember, I'm pretty sure this is a memory. I was dancing with my friends, and then I walked to go to the bathroom. And we kind of had an unspoken, like we didn't have to talk. We didn't have to, like, we just knew. And he just looked at me, and I looked up at him, and I knew he wanted to dance. So he put out his arms, and we danced for like a minute or two. But then I ran to the bathroom crying because he opens me. And so it's really hard that I can't talk to him. And I understand that I don't know what he's experienced in the FBI, but there was a lot of child trafficking in the FBI, a lot. I mean, the whole Me Too movement. I can only imagine, but I don't know what was happening in the FBI. And we attract what we are. And so all the guys in my book, the first guy, Tim, my book, he had a special relationship with one of the yoga instructors. This is in my book. And she's a dominatrix. And I knew that he was into BDSM, and I talked to his soul all the time. And into multiple women. But I'm like, what do you mean? I never knew. I mean, I guess multiple women when Jason went and had a little relationship right after he tried to talk to me with another girl. I didn't realize I was, I didn't realize I was dealing with, a man who's looking for multiple women. I'm not saying he was in high school. I don't know. I didn't ask him. He can only speak for himself. But all the men that led me back to him were all players and all had multiple women. So after Tim, I attracted Justin Waller into my life. He's Andrew Tate's best friend. So in December of 2020 was the first time I had a longer conversation with Tim in my book. And the lower back pain that started when I was like a month or two after this picture, when I was 15 and a half, went away. I was 50 years old. I had 35 years of debilitating lower back pain. And what my visions have shown me is that I have rape wounds and forced abortion wounds from Jason. I called the police 6 months ago to report that. After I called the police station, I said, look, it's been 40 years, but I finally have enough visions and memories to say something. They said, no, we'll come over. And they took the report. Like nothing's happened. I don't expect anything to happen. But what happened was, there were the 6 men, and they all led me back to him. And I'll get back to how I got to making that police report in a minute. But so the first guy, totally into BDSM, multiple women. And then there was Justin Waller and Andrew Tate. And I reached out to Justin in June of 2022, but I wasn't even thinking of Jason then. Like, I don't even remember thinking of Jason for most of my life. I don't remember until about the last couple years, like around, I think it was fall of 2022, where I saw a picture in my, I opened my yearbook and then I put that picture in my phone to remind me that a guy that good looking used to stare at me in high school. So why are all these men into me? Like the first guy, Tim, multimillionaire. Justin and Andrew, and I said Andrew and I didn't have there was no romance between me and Andrew. It was me and Justin. We were in each other's hearts, and that's how the healing happens. But I'm like, I don't have a history of men like this. Only to find out later, yeah, I got a history of men like this. Okay. So then so I reached out to Justin in June of 2022 and we start texting back and forth a little bit, but there's, there's tension and okay. And I didn't really know much about Andrew at the time. And I didn't know that Jason got the job at GoDaddy in May of 2022. Andrew in August of 2022 had his, was kicked off social media and had his payment processing center disconnected. Who's powerful enough to do that? FBI? Okay. And so I helped them both with my shamanic gifts. I helped them find out, we all create our own reality. Why did Andrew create that reality for himself? Why did Justin create that reality for himself? And so it felt like I was working in lockstep. Lockstep's a military term, and I've always been anti-military. I mean, now I support the military because I know we need it, but I didn't used to support. I was very liberal. I always voted very liberal, and he was very conservative Mormon, like, opposites. I got a job at 14 and he's ASB president and, multiple sports and really high achieving academically. And, I got like B's and C's. I hated high school and I got a job. Even though I have a master's degree in East Asian religious studies, I speak Chinese, I'm very intelligent. I just hated high school. Yeah, I wonder why. So then, and then Andrew got thrown in solitary confinement after that. And then around the same time, the first fire academy instructor, who's also in the book, came into my life. So there was Andrew Tate was warm up for the fire department, who was warm up for the FBI and executives. So everyone's, yelling and screaming about Andrew Tate. But men at the top, and I'm going to quote Winston Churchill, it's also in my book, who said, it is said that famous men are often the product of an unhappy childhood. And that's true. A lot of these men, if they attracted to me, they have similar wounds, similar childhood trauma. I had a very traumatic childhood. And it's hard for me to say all this. It's hard. So I helped the 2 fire academy instructors, one that year and then one the following fall in November of 2023. And then in March of 2024, I had my first enlightenment experience, and Jason came through and talked about he had 2 daughters. It's like, Jason from high school, Jason from, like, why are you here? Why are you here? Why are you at my first enlightenment experience? What? And, not thinking that I had a picture of him on my phone, right? Had a lot of cognitive dissonance I was still dealing with. Um, and he mentioned 2 daughters, but I didn't know what he did after high school. I hadn't seen him since I was 15, right before I turned 16. Not that I remember. So I didn't know. I didn't know that he went to Air Force Academy in Colorado. I didn't know he got an MBA. I didn't know he was getting an MBA in Hawaii when I was in China. Now we both have the same friends. My close friend who I was living with at UCSB, a swimmer, really good friends with guys on the water polo team who know him from high school. So I'm sure he had a lot of ways to know where I was. Was he in Hawaii because of me? I don't know. I haven't talked to him. But that's an interesting synchronicity. Getting an MBA in Hawaii, that's not typical. I don't know. I don't know. So anyway, that enlightenment experience happened in March of 2024. And then I started writing my book. And I published the first version of my book in October of 2024. And a week later, my intuition guided me to reach out to him. Like, what? But I had already reached out to Justin Waller. So, like, what's the difference, right? Okay, whatever, this guy. Okay. And he read my text pretty quickly, but didn't respond. And he immediately opened to me. And I remember thinking with the fire captain, the second fire academy instructor, that working with him was like a shamanic final exam. It was so challenging, but I'm like, okay, I know I can do it. I remember feeling that way. And it's in my book before I was told to reach out to Jason. So when I open up to Jason's energy, it's like the most avoidant man I've ever, like, where did you go? Where did you go? Like, where did you go? Like, way over there. And it was really gnarly. And a lot came through about BDSM contracts and BDSM.com. It has its domain at GoDaddy. GoDaddy, from a certain perspective, could be sexual. Just saying. Um, and that was November, and we started healing, and I'm in and out of enlightenment. I mean, it was gnarly. And in December, early December, our souls we were yelling at each other, but I was home alone because it was, I'm glad I was home alone. And when I could feel his soul reach peak frustration over the rape wound, like, just like if he was in the same space, like, I would not have been safe. And then I remember just like turning my body like that, but like activating my solar plexus chakra, which is where our power is. And at that exact moment, he peaked, I peaked, and all the electricity went out in Ventura, California, where I live. And it was 8 o'clock at night. So it was dark. It was off for like 10, 15 minutes. And then it came back on. Now, did I throw an EMP? That's what it feels like. But I don't know how to have proof of that. But I knew I needed to protect myself, and I protected myself and put that energy around my daughters. That's how gnarly it's been. And that was December. So 9 months later, I birthed the memory of being raped, and then having visions of having forced abortions. And his dad, I didn't know his dad was a surgeon. So what happened was that happened in the fall of 2024. And then I didn't reach out to him again. And he didn't reach out to me. But, he does internet security. So I made Instagram posts and YouTube videos. I've taken those down since then, but that's how I could communicate with him, like this way, like how I can communicate. And so, what was I going to say? Oh, sorry. It's hard for me to get this out. So I reported to the police 9 months later about the rape that I, remember the visions and the forced abortions. And, he's in a lineup with Andrew Tate and the fire department and the FBI. We attract what we are. There's 32 global studies showing that 57% of firefighters have childhood trauma, have PTSD. 37% of military. I don't know about the FBI. I don't know. But I have to imagine it's in there. I mean, if they're attracted to go see all the gnarly, just terrible things that they see, why are they attracted to that? Why do they need to see that? We attract what we are through energetic resonance, meaning a vibrational match. And what kind of men could handle that level of very difficult situations? Anyway, but yeah, I remember him kind of putting his hands out, and then that's how we talked. Or another time, he, I don't know if it was freshman year or sophomore year, I think it was freshman year, he and his brother showed up in their Boy Scout uniforms. And he was standing across the quad from me. I remember looking at him and kind of like nodding, like I understood he was showing me that he's in Boy Scouts. Well, that's the reason I put my son, I'll show right now, my son in Boy Scouts. And my son is an Eagle Scout. That's my son. My son is an Eagle Scout because Jason Colvin showed me that he was a Boy Scout. Did he become an Eagle Scout? I don't know. We weren't, we weren't in the same friend group. We weren't, I didn't have many friends and he was friends with everybody. We were opposites. Okay. I just took out my phone and took pictures. Okay, like this is the best I got. That was my senior photo, and that was his senior photo. When I first saw that, I was like, he's sulking. Why is he sulking? He's a really good looking guy. Like, look, cute dimples. Why isn't he smiling? Right? Look how cute he is. Look how cute he is. Why isn't he smiling? When I saw that, it's like, gosh, he's just not even smiling. But I saw his Air Force Academy picture too. He's not smiling there either. I think that's the last picture I have. So, yeah, it's really hard to be in this situation where I'm saying I'm the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene. And right now I'm not talking to anybody in my family, and not because I don't want to. We're taking a break. We're all healing from childhood trauma. So I don't have anybody to ask, like, what do you remember? What happened here? What happened there? And I'm sure I'll talk to him when when he's ready to talk to me, when we're ready. I have a plan for success. And I can't imagine that being in a lineup with Andrew Tate, as from my perspective, he's a reincarnation of Jesus Christ. My soul's name is Sophia. Sophia is wisdom. Christ is knowledge. That Sophia being my soul's name came through to me last fall, 3 days before my enlightenment experience for the second coming that happened on Shabbat Shuvah 2025. My ex-husband's Israeli. We met in Tibet. We have 3 kids. But if you want to check out all the signs and synchronicities for me, I'm Mary Magdalene, please check out my website. Anyway, I wanted to share that. This is, a very difficult thing, and I wanted to document it about how challenging it is for me. And I can only imagine how challenging it is for him. But he has a boy and 2 girls, just like me, all close together. Because I had a boy and then 2 girls. It was amazing. So anyway, thanks for listening. Take care. Bye.